Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by the Hard Truth Distilling Company in Brown County, Indiana.
So for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, it's time! 3 on the way. Oh! It went in! It went in! And Indiana wins the ball game! Know your role and shut your mouth, you jabroni! Float game for the win! Ayla's gone! Goodbye, touchdown, Indy! Woo! IU! America! They got a football team now!
Pretty simple. I win. Google me.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop. Oh.
Now, from the Hard Truth Studios,
Hey,
here's Jim Coyle.
hey, everybody. Welcome aboard to another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio. I hope you're having a good start to your day. Glad to have you along. Good to be back. Hope your weekend was good and stayed busy. Mine certainly did. Wearing my Ole Miss dad shirt from my weekend down in Oxford as my daughter graduated from Ole Miss. Very, very happy for her and proud, of course, of all that. But it's time to get back to it. As man, oh man, boy, did we get to talk about the Pacers. Holy smokes. Did they that was something. I've just never seen I know what's happened, but I've never seen an NBA playoff game that just destroyed. I mean, destroyed. It just kept getting worse and worse for Cleveland. And Cleveland is the highest scoring team in the NBA, or was the highest scoring team in the NBA over the weekend. So we'll look forward to talking about that, especially with Dustin Dopirak, the beat writer for the Star. It's good term for him, beat writer, because that was a beat down, man. That's just incredible to watch what the Pacers did. Little experience coming on. I think I just saw someone mention that. Yeah, the playoff experience. They're a young team, but just amazing. Now, can they keep that going? And defense, they're getting a little luck with some injuries, but I don't know if it would have mattered who Cleveland ran out there last night. It was just an absolute beatdown. Yeah, and the Benedict Mathurin thing, I don't know about why he should have been. Yeah, he should have been ejected. I mean, it was definitely a flagrant, but not sure I would have called that a flagrant too, if that's what it went down to. But it is what it is. And the fact that they did all that without Benedict Mathurin makes it even more impressive. But the shooting display, and it came from everybody. TJ McConnell, just so many different guys were stepping up and making plays. But TJ McConnell was a fly in the ointment for Cleveland. Just getting there and doing things, getting inside into the paint. They killed him in the paint, but the 3-point shooting really stood out. It was Toppin and Siakam both on fire. Big threes from Siakam. It was just, I don't know that you even have to worry about the Pacers. Will never say this in a pro setting, but winning the series, they've got to go back to Cleveland, but you've got 2 more games back in Indiana if needed. So that's going to be something interesting to see. Do they win it in Indianapolis or up in Cleveland? We'll certainly find out as when the next game rolls on. But man, it was just fun to watch. And the Pacers likely headed to the Eastern Conference Finals again. Now, good. Who are they going to play? Because the Boston Celtics, I don't know what that series is right now. Is it 2-1? But that's going to end up being the Boston Celtics, even though they started out down 2 games. They were down 0-2. Donovan Mitchell, questionable for Cleveland. He had an ankle injury last night, did not come back. So, how about that first half? I mean, 80 points in the first half. 80. It's, whew. You see that during the season, but for a playoff game, the defense just naturally gets better by teams. They work harder, so you're not going to see teams giving up 80 points in a game. In a half, rather. A half. Think about that. Think of all the college games you watch that do not reach 80 points in total. Their halftime lead was greater than the amount of points Cleveland had scored. Yeah, just crazy. Let's see. 2-1 Knicks. That's right. Game 4 tonight, 7:30. Can you imagine a Knicks Pacers reboot? That'd be something. That would be fun to watch. We'll talk more about that, of course, when Dustin Dopirak joins us, and Greg Rakestraw as well. Speaking of Greg, he'll be with us here in just a second. And tell you what, we'll go ahead and take our first break. Come back, we'll talk all about it. Appreciate you being with us. We've got lots more coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios right after these messages.
Andy Moore Honda is Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer for a reason. Buy a new Honda and get a 3-month break from car payments. That's right, no payments for 90 days. That includes the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue, and you get it for just 0.9% financing. Or the 2024 Honda Ridgeline Black Edition or the Honda Accord LX, both for just 1.9% financing. Get more to your door from AndyMooreHonda.com, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer and your best place for new and used vehicles. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemooreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Monday. Glad to have you along for the ride. Greg Rakestraw joining us from the ISC Net Sports Network. How are you, sir? How was your weekend?
My weekend was fantastic. I saw 2 days of dominance, one from Alex Palou at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway on Saturday and the other from the Indiana Pacers in the first half, especially last night. I have not seen anything like that before, ever in an NBA playoff game.
I said those very words earlier. You'll see that during the season occasionally where a team can score 80 points and a half, where it's just one of those nights. Never in an NBA playoff game have I seen anything like that. And it just blew my mind. It just kept going. It kept getting worse for Cleveland because everything was going right for the Pacers. They were shooting lights out, and it was contributions coming from everybody. TJ McConnell getting to the inside, Pascal Siakam, Toppin. It was different guys. It was not Tyrese Halliburton or the normal cast of characters per se. And for it to be the lead was greater than the amount of points that Cleveland scored.
Right.
It just
Given
mind-boggling.
Given what's been happening in the NBA playoffs, the Pacers have always been a part of this. 20-point lead, you're like, hey, we're good. You're like, no. At some point in time after 41, I'm watching the game, not, I'm kind of in and out, but I'm watching the last 4 or 5 minutes going, this is remarkable. And folks, if you want to see basketball, how it's supposed to be played, watch the last 3 minutes of the first half last night, where the Pacers go on a 17-0 run. And then, Aaron Nesmith hits a buzzer beater to get him to 80, at halftime. But I walk out and I go, honey, the Pacers lead by 41. 41. I mean, it's just jaw-dropping, to kind of see it at that level. So, no, it was I put this on Twitter, Jim, last night. At halftime, I think Indianapolis collectively needed a smoke because they've not been through anything like that ever before.
That's pretty good. That's pretty funny. I hadn't. I was like, man, I was driving back from Oxford, and I was able to listen to the game, and I'm like, they're going to be able to get 60 points before half, and it kept going. I'm like, my God, I said, no way, can they get 70? And it just kept going, and I was like, wow. It was in an NBA game. I've learned never say never, because I don't care what your lead is. When you get to the fourth quarter, that's when stuff starts happening. That game was done, cooked,
right,
over and out. And they could have rested virtually all of their starters in the second half, I think.
Well, they did not the entire second half. So the ones pretty much played till about the 4-minute mark of the third quarter, knowing that was going to be it. And then it became the twos playing until about the 8-minute mark of the quarter, and that was it. The fact that James Johnson was out there for 8 consecutive minutes and didn't throw any elbows at anybody was a good sign for the Indiana Pacers. So, no, there were guys on the back end. You could tell that Spiro Dinas and Greg Anthony were going deep into the notes, because guys 15 and 16 were getting some run, and nobody expected that.
Yeah, and the fact that it came from so many different guys continues to show how this Pacers team is it's a team built on a team. You always expect Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam to step up and be kind of the guys. It's just not them. You have to have your head on a swivel when you play this team.
Well, last night was an example of why the Pacers did what they did in the offseason, because it was about re-upping all the role players. Now, Pascal Siakam was not a role player. He was the first guy that was signed. Tyrese had his extension the year before, but you you extend Andrew Nembhard. You had on the ultimate of steals a second-round contract. There was a 3 or 4 year deal. You extend him. You extend Obi Toppin, you extend TJ McConnell. And that's one of the reasons why we're like, hey, free agency this summer is real simple for the Indiana Pacers. What can you offer Miles Turner? What is he willing to accept? How much into the luxury tax are you willing to go? And the reason why that's the long question is because everybody else is under contract for the next year, 2, 3 years. This is the core of this team going forward. And last night, they showed why this group was all brought back together after what was a somewhat surprising run a season ago.
Yeah, the youth has given away to a little more experience, and it's showing. I mean, the young teams rarely can succeed in the playoffs. Oklahoma City, I believe, is actually the youngest team in the league, though.
Correct.
So they're bucking that trend, but it's the Pacers have youth and experience on their side, which is a nice thing to have.
That it is. And it's one of the reasons why going into this series, I gave the Pacers a chance because, again, obviously the Cavaliers are a really good team. They won 64 games, and honestly, they could have won more. They kind of cruised to the finish knowing they had wrapped everything up in terms of the Eastern Conference. But they had not had that huge playoff experience yet. You know, you would kind of say the same thing out West. The Thunder are far and away the best team in the West. I mean, they won the West by 15 games, 16 games, something along those lines. But in terms of this series, you know, the Nuggets have more playoff experience, and more than any other league, more than any other sport, this is one where your progress is measured incrementally, where it's almost like, hey, you know, you'll win the opening round one year, you win the second round the next year. By year 3, you know, you're contending, you know, for a conference championship. It's just the way the NBA, you know, kind of has always been. So given how well the Pacers were playing, they are now 41-16 since January 1st. And given the fact that the Cavaliers are a young and developing team, but don't have that playoff base they can kind of pull from, it's part of the reason why, again, I thought the Pacers would have a chance. I'm not sure that the Pacers will be up 3-1 after 4, but Jimmy, here we are.
Absolutely. And K-Bro, our friend Kevin Brockway asking a good question. What's the better matchup, Knicks or the Celtics?
I'd say bring on the Knicks, given the fact you beat them last year. Now, again, that was an injured Knicks team, and it's now a Knicks team with Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges, and they have completely kind of flipped their roster. I know the Celtics collapsed in back-to-back games. They're still the defending world champion and swept you last year, and have generally had their way with the Pacers. Bring on the Knicks. And Jim, while it's not done in this series yet, we're all hoping so. Maybe we should know that as the NBA was talking about going back to NBC and ramping up for that, what better way to celebrate the NBA being on NBC next year than Pacers and Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, since we seemingly had that for the better part of the 90s.
Yeah, I been talking about that. I'm like, man, can you imagine a Pacers Knicks reboot? That would just be the NBA has to be. I don't know that they're hoping for that because the Celtics bigger TV market than either Indianapolis or either bigger than Indianapolis. But man, they that would just have to be fun just for old times. I know it would be great for fans, but I think it would be good for the NBA.
If the NBA had their druthers of knowing that the Celtics and Knicks are playing each other right now, and you've obviously got Indianapolis or Cleveland, small Midwest market, you almost kind of trade things off. Of the possible permutations of the 4 potential series you could have in the East, what is the one with the most cachet? Pacers and Knicks would be that series.
Yeah, no doubt. It just harkens back to Reggie Miller, baby. Reggie, Spike, the whole deal. And, you know, see, would TNT have coverage of that?
I'm not sure if TNT has the East or yes, the TNT has the East. And the reason I know this is because Charles Barkley was talking about the filet minions, as he would say at St. Elmo's, as he announced last night that he'd be spending part of next week in Indianapolis. So yes, TNT's swan song with Reggie Miller would be in Indianapolis covering the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, that would be fun to see. So hopefully so. And man, and they better load up if Charles is coming to town at St. Elmo's. They better load up, baby, and be ready. Man, so that's going great. Hopefully when the series resumes, well, I'm sure a lot of people would like to see them win it in Indianapolis rather than in Cleveland. But I, as a coach, you want to win it when you can win it.
Right, yeah. Jimmy, doesn't matter to play on the moon. Win in 5, get on with it. Get some rest for the next one. Be done in 5. Have a fun bus ride home from Cleveland. Oh, I know they're getting on a plane.
Absolutely. Now, Indianapolis, the 500, baby, closer and closer, and teams are getting practice in, and it's ready to happen. You mentioned Alex Palou. You mentioned him early on. I saw a quote or a stat that, let's see. Anyway, Alex Palou, he had a good run.
He had a decent run. He's won 4 of the first 5 races, Jim. The last couple of times that's happened, you kind of got to go back, when there were really 2 different series running. Dan Weldon in 2005, Sebastian Bourdais when it was Champ Car separate from the IndyCar series in 2006. Frankly, the fields for either of those series are not what they are now in terms of 27 cars and teams running each week. And frankly, 15 cars that you would think in most weeks would have a chance to win on a given basis. What Palou is doing is stupefying. Jimmy, he's got a 97-point lead in the point standings 5 races in. He could take off dominant. A race and still have a dominating lead in terms of the series. And on Saturday, he didn't lead until lap 59. And once he led, he never dropped the lead again. Team strategist Barry Wanzer, everybody involved in Chip Ganassi Racing. Imagine what the Pacers did last night for a half. It's what that team's been doing for the better part of 4 or 5 years. Alex has been in the series now for 5.25 years. He has been with Chip Ganassi Racing since sort of 2021. He is going for his 4th series championship in the last 5 years. I mean, this is in a sport that's about parity. Right now, it's anything but. And this is probably as prohibitive of a favorite as we have had going into the Indy 500 as there has been probably in at least 25 years, if not longer. And again, this is an era where everything is designed for parity and everything is designed to be the same. And it's like the old Sesame Street line, buddy. One of these things is not like the other. That thing is Alex Palou right now in the IndyCar series.
Yeah, and it's so hard to believe because while you can get hot and have drivers get hot, teams, whatever, to be able to do what he has done and is doing, it's nearly impossible because everything has to go together. You have to be on top of your game. Your team has to be on top of your game. The pit stops have to be flawless. Your strategy has to be flawless. You have to not make any mistakes on the track. It's just so many things that go into winning a race that make each one so difficult, and to do it in a dominating style at this level, it's mind-boggling.
Absolutely. His one race he didn't win this year, Jimmy finished 2nd. So his average finish through 5 races is 1.2.
1 point, yeah.
And so when I am starting to look up the best IndyCar series of all time, and frankly, we can sit here and talk about so many different eras and what's comparable, what's not. This era is probably the last 23 years for the most part would be pretty apples to apples in terms of the top teams. And, even a guy like Scott Dixon covers that entire era from a driving standpoint, Alex's teammate. But if you want to go back, say, since the war, since there really was kind of a North American open wheel circuit, amongst the best years ever, AJ Foyt, 10 wins in a season, Al Unser Sr., 10 wins in a season, Michael Andretti, 8, Al Unser Jr., 8, Mario Andretti, 9, and 4 of those 5 during that year won the Indy 500. And so for Alex Palou to truly have one of the greatest seasons in the history of what we call IndyCar now, he's got to win the race 13 days from now, and he will be the favorite, no doubt about it.
Oh, without question. And everything has to go right in that race because Indy is so different than most other races. Are you able to hang in for another break?
I can hang another segment.
That's what I meant. All right, let's talk Indy, man. Greg Rakestraw from the ISB Sports Network joining us right now. We've got lots more coming up. We're back with it on the other side.
The ISB Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC. Local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company Studios on this Monday. I hope everything is going well for you. We've got Greg Rakestraw, so it's great for us. And we're talking Indy. It is the month of May, so we'll be doing that quite frequently. Indianapolis and Alex Palou, we were talking about when we left, his dominance so far this season. It's been quite just kind of like the Pacers have dominated Cleveland so far, but maybe even more so. I wouldn't put it on par with that game last night, but it's like unlike anything we've ever seen in this era. I mean, in this, and you mentioned a lot of great drivers in the previous segment. I think it was a lot more possible to do it back then than it is today, it seems, because as I mentioned earlier, so many things have to go right now because so many other teams, I think, have caught up. I can't remember specifically back in the 70s how many great teams there were, but it just seems like these teams are all on par with each other now, Greg.
Correct. And so it's 2 things that you kind of touched on there. Most importantly, it is the lack of technical innovation for cost control purposes. You know, all of the drivers that I mentioned that had those 8 and 9, 10 win seasons, those were in the days of multiple engines. I'm not sure if it was multiple tires back then, but different chassis. It was, you know, in our best Southern Indiana E's, run what you brung. You know, you had, specific things you had to do and everything else, it's up to you. Well, at some point in time, you kind of have gone as fast as you are going to go. Just the budget that was required, fields kept getting thinner and thinner. And so with that, then it was like, okay, now it's called what's more of a spec series. So like, for example, more or less everybody runs the same chassis. We have 2 engine manufacturers. They are very competitive. There are some tracks where one has an advantage over another, but it's not a significant advantage. Everybody more or less is running the same stuff. And it's how the team near it and what the driver does. That's what it's on. It's something that is so new, so revolutionary that the only question is, are you going to finish the race? You clearly have the best hot rod there. Are you going to finish the race? Normally that is no longer the case. So now the secondary thing I would tell you is depth of team. Again, we really have not had, the Indianapolis 500 is 33 cars every year. That's the way that it works. But we have 27 car and driver combinations that run every week in the IndyCar. That's, in some years that number's been 18. Formula One right now is 20. It'll be 22 when the Andretti guys start running. 27 car and driver combinations every week. And Alex Palou's average finish has been 1.2. So, Jim, the other example I will give you from this Saturday, again, there was a caution. First caution we've had in a race since the first lap, really first 6 laps, of the first event in St. Petersburg. So that's either 400 laps or 69 days ago, depending on how you want to measure it, from race 1 until the race, the road course race, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So when the field got bunched back together, we restarted. A caution happened at about lap 70. We restarted with 13 to go. So everybody, there's a guy right behind Alex Palou. He's leading. There's a guy right behind him. Jim, at the end of the race, his advantage was 5.6 seconds. I can do that math pretty quickly. That's a half a second a lap. He was faster than everybody else behind him. It's jaw-dropping.
Yeah, and these other teams must be just going nuts, pulling their hair out, wondering how they're getting this speed and where they can get some of it.
Well, what I tried to explain to people on the post-race show, because I did an hour of pre and an hour of post on the Fan on Saturday, I said, folks, you can listen to me, go on and on about this. I said, but if you're watching television or if you were listening on the radio, depending on what your broadcast was, you were hearing Davey Hamilton gobsmacked about this. You were hearing Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe go on about it. Those 3 guys combined for about 40 to 45 years at the top level of North American open wheel racing. And then we carry the second and third place best press conference and the winner's press conference during our hour post-race show. And Will Power, who finished third, basically sat there and said, I'm stunned. He goes, I want to beat the guy, but I'm sure going to acknowledge and tip my cap at the guy. What they are doing right now just doesn't happen. So you can take my word for it. I think I'm more knowledgeable than the average fan about this stuff, but I'm not a guy that's been in an IndyCar cockpit. And the guys that just rattled off 4 different people that have run for about 65 years, and one of them is an Indianapolis 500-mile winner. And when they all go, dude, we've not seen this before, that should tell you something special is going on.
Yeah, and it's crazy that's happening now with the leveling of the field. But I'm so looking forward to Kyle Larson being a fly in the ointment. He is also coming into Indianapolis running very well. Dominant win yesterday at Kansas in the Kansas race that last year he won in the closest finish in the history of NASCAR. So that wasn't the case this year. He dominated this race, much like Alex Palou is. So normally it's when you get this NASCAR carryover, it's like, yeah, it's nice and all that. Kyle Larson is a threat.
Correct. There are 3 storylines going into this. One is obviously Palou. You just touched on Larson. And again, last year, unfortunately, the rain screwed with Larson's day in terms of finishing here, getting to Charlotte, it raining down there, not really be able to factor in the race. And so this is all designed as a 2-year crusade for him. And so if anybody, I think, can be competitive in a one-off or not running the series on a full-time basis, it's Kyle. And if Fox doesn't bill this as NASCAR's best versus IndyCar's best, they're doing it wrong. And knowing Fox, I'm sure they'll bill it that way. But now, Jim, you and I have talked about this for the last 10 to 15 minutes. We are just now getting to the fact that, oh, yeah, Josef Newgarden has won the last 2 and is trying to become the first driver to win 3 in a row in the history of the Indianapolis 500. And remarkably, that has seemingly taken a back seat to what Palou has been doing locally. So yes, there are 3 smack you upside the head obvious storylines heading into the Indianapolis 500 13 days from now.
And great, and they're all equally great. That's the thing. They all deserve just as much an attention as the other because all can come true. It's going to be amazing to see. Let's see. Tomorrow's opening day, right?
Correct. So no practice yesterday, no practice today. 4 days of practice tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Some testing on Saturday morning as well. Saturday afternoon is nearly a 7-hour qualifying session what you are trying to do is get yourself in the fast 12 or avoid the last 4, because then those 16 drivers come back on on Sunday afternoon. The fast 12 will compete for the pole. The last 4 will compete for the last 3 spots. We have 34 cars. Somebody's going home and won't make the race. So Saturday is to get you into the fast 12 or out of the bottom 4. Sunday is to decide who's on the pole and who's going home.
And I love this, the way they do that, from covering it in previous years, last year, especially up there. It creates excitement. That fast 12, what's the 6 called? I forget what the
fast 6 as well.
Oh, it's fast 6. Okay. Well, that was unique.
No, you got a fast 12 and then 12 goes to 6. The top 6 get one more crack at the very end of the show. You got it.
But that was it adds some drama, it adds some excitement, it makes it a lot more exciting, and it's just there are so many. That's the great thing about Indy. There are so many great things you can see each day out there, and it's the stars. They're all out there.
And what I would recommend to people is that make sure you carve out a little time if you're going to go. The Indianapolis Museum the IMS Museum was just redone. It was closed for 18 months. It just reopened last month. Everything that I have heard has been that they have absolutely knocked this out of the park. And so, yes, the drivers are accessible. Yes, the speeds are in excess of 230 miles an hour. Yes, the track tenderloin, quite tasty. Make sure you give yourself some time to go to the museum while you are there, because, again, if there's not enough history dripping from the place, just walking around and taking all in, all of that 115 to 20-year history is contained in one building. Make sure you go check out the museum while you're there as well.
Yeah, the history drips off of the stands at Indianapolis like barbecue sauce off a sandwich, baby. You can't, it's just standing there, you just feel it. It's incredible. And looking forward to how it just changes changes Speedway Indiana, first of all, but how it the state really, well, at least the Indianapolis area, but it is just something that they really embrace. They love. I hope they get to see it on TV this year, Greg.
Well, if it's sold out, they will. If not, you got to remember 350,000 people will be at the race. So again, to put this in perspective, not the city of Indianapolis, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway becomes the 59th or 60th most populated city in the country on race day. That's how big the crowds are at 16th and Georgetown. So if it's not on TV locally, of course, it's on the radio, 93.5, 107.5, 93 WIBC, in terms of the Radio 1 family of stations. That is such a tradition where you listen to the event. If you're not going, if you're having your family barbecue on Sunday, then you watch it at home at 8 o'clock, which this year, because of it being on Fox, will be on Fox 59. I get to have the post-race show. So my race day duties are, I am on the PA from 6 a.m. until 10:45. The Purdue Marching Band makes their way to pit lane. Time for me to exit stage right for Alan Beswick and Dave Calabro. And then assuming we run the race on time, which obviously we did last year, I go on about 4 o'clock and I'm on until about 7 o'clock and trying to make sense of what happened for 500 miles in front of me. It's my day-night doubleheader over here at the 500, and I've been lucky enough to have that conversation or that duel for about 5 or 6 years now. This will be my 12th consecutive year of doing the post-race show, and I'm lucky, so lucky in what I get to do for a living. I don't get goosebumps the way I do the day of the race. It's a really special place every day, but especially when well north of 250,000 people are joining you out there to enjoy the race.
It is mesmerizing, and I can only imagine getting to sit in the seat that you sit in. And you mentioned Alan Beswick and Dave Calabro. We had Alan on last year. I'm glad you said that. It reminds me getting back on again. He's just one of those voices that's instantly takes you to auto racing from all of his years of doing just that. But man, it is the month of May, and it has already been going, but it really kicks off now. To me, these 2 weeks are just really when it just gets going. You've got Carb Day coming up, the qualification practice all week, then qualifications start, the Fast 12, the Fast 6, pole position winner, all of that stuff. I mean, there's just so many exciting parts, and that's another thing. They have done such a hell of a job of making all certain little things within the race itself exciting, like the pole position winner, like the Fast 6, the Fast 12, qualifying and all that, because before it was like, you just watch it. Now there's just excitement and anticipation.
You know what is the perfect compliment to Carb Day, Jim?
A cold beverage, I would imagine.
Products from Hard Truth Distillery. Always think of the sponsor, Jim. Make sure you go pick up your heart.
Cold, I was thinking like something good. I can't even think of an old fashioned. I'm thinking like an old fashioned with some sour mash.
Whatever Hard Truth makes, it's good. It's good on a hot day, Jim. Take some Hard Truth to the track with you.
Now I know that Roger wouldn't appreciate that, but they'll do okay.
We're allowed to bring coolers into the building. It's okay, Jim. It's all right.
I forgot. I'm so used to it not being that way. That's another cool thing.
They've got plenty of supplies in case you forget something. They'll happily sell you some, but it can be BYOB. Bring your own cooler. You're fine.
That's a great argument when people complain about it not being on TV, that because they're, they want to sell it out. They can say, hey, you can come here and bring your own stuff. We're not just come watch the race. That's unique. You can't do that everywhere. You damn sure can't do that at a basketball or football game.
Right. But it can be BYOB at the Motor Speedway. There is truth in that.
That is just makes it all the more. There's no reason for people not to experience something. If you don't want to deal with the race day, okay, I get it. But there are too many things that go on that are fun. I mean, great to take kids out to. And there's no reason not to go experience probably the best sporting event in the world year in over a year in. And we know it's the biggest, but I think it's overall the best.
I'm with you, Jim. Having done this now for the better part, not every, but the better part of the last 25 years, there's nothing else like it on the planet. Simple as that.
You are the best, brother. Look forward to doing it again. We'll recount next week. We'll find out. We'll know who the poll winner is and all of that good stuff. So we look forward to talking about that.
You got it, buddy. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Greg Rakestraw from the ISB Sports Network joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. More coming at you after these messages.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth Sour Mash Bourbons, Sweet Mash, and Hard Road Ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company's studios on this Monday. Glad to have you back. Glad to be back in studio after the weekend down in Oxford. Had a great time with my daughter, Kylie. Congratulations to her for graduating from their School of Accountancy with honors, from their honors college, actually. And now she's on to grad school. Starts in 2 weeks. Can you believe that? You just graduate and you start school again in 2 weeks. That's man. I've got to tell you, I know everybody brags about their kids and all of that, and I don't want to be like that, but I couldn't do that. Didn't do that. It just blows my mind. It's nonstop. It just goes and goes, and so, whoo, man, people and anybody else that has kids that are like that, congratulations. And congratulations to all the graduates, by the way. And now that I'm thinking about it, congratulations to all the parents of the graduates, whether it's high school, whether it's elementary school, who cares? College, but especially college, the college graduates, salute to all of you, because I know how hard of work that you put in for that. And you should be recognized. And so congratulations. And I hope, happy Mother's Day. We weren't here yesterday. So a belated happy Mother's Day to all the fine moms out there. I hope you had a glorious day. But yeah, that's a lot going on. Buffalo Bill asking, I know this is off topic, but is horse racing and the Derby losing interest with owners and horses not wanting to race all three of the Triple Crown? Well, the problem with that now is, in my opinion, is back in the day, they ran these horses a lot more frequently and without qualms or concerns about doing so. Well, that is no longer the case, as the cost of these horses and the cost of their training is crazy, millions and millions of dollars. So it has changed. And I think unless, and this has been talked about for quite some time, unless they make a change to the timeline of the space between these races. I mean, the Preakness is 2 weeks after the Derby. 2 weeks. That's nuts in this day and age. I mean, they generally take at least a month to 6 weeks off a lot of times between runs now. Well, that's the space between the Derby and the Belmont, I think. So unless they space this out, the overall answer to that question, Bill, would be yes. It's not that they've lost interest. They've lost the desire to put their horse in a position they think would stress him, or because the money that these horses are worth in breeding has skyrocketed from back in the day. That wasn't the case then. It is now. So that's what is important, protecting that legacy. You know how fragile those horses are. So that's the reason. That is the reason. There's, even with a winner, I don't like the fact that a winner doesn't go to the Preakness, but with 2 weeks off, I get it, man. It's just a different day and age. So yes, it is the ultimate answer to that. I don't know if it's a straight up yes, but so there you go. Well, that's a shame for Todd. But yeah, what a great weekend. Great sports weekend. I had a great weekend. I didn't see a single sporting event that I recall other than the Pacers game yesterday, which I cannot believe. I can't wait to talk to Dustin Dopirak about that. But it was just that beatdown. Now, the thing that scares me about when you beat a team down that badly sometimes, boy, did you save some of it? but it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was just everything was going right. They were getting all the foul calls, and I'm not saying that they weren't correct. It was just, I think it's the frustration partly on Cleveland's part. They're the number one seed in the East. The number one seed. They are the highest scoring team in the NBA this year. And they're down 3-1 in the second round to the 4th seed. So, and the fact that I do not see the Cleveland Cavaliers being able to come back and win this series, partly because the final 2 games are in Indianapolis. So, Indy's got that going for them, which is great. Oh, I hear that, Todd. Brother, I understand. No worries. But yeah, so much. Think about what's all the things that are going on in Indy right now. Indianapolis 500 about to really get going. The Pacers are already going. And they are on, I'm not going to say they're in the pole position, but the race has begun, and they've got pretty good position. They're sitting back there, kind of not sitting back there. They're up in the top 6, kind of floating around right now in that 3rd or 4th spot. You've got Oklahoma City is Alex Palou. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works out. We've got more coming up. We're going to hit it back with more from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios after you hear from these great sponsors of ours.
If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemoreSells@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today.
Located on 325 acres in beautiful Brown County, Indiana, Hard Truth Distilling Company is the biggest and the best craft distillery around. While Hard Truth is already known for producing internationally awarded whiskeys and spirits like Hard Truth's sour mash bourbons, sweet mash, and hard road ryes, as well as their cinnamon vodka and the always popular toasted coconut rum. Hard Truth Distillery offers so much more. With a full-service restaurant, ATV, and distillery tours, as well as live music, you can spend an entire day at Hard Truth Distillery while making your entire family or group happy. And that's the Hard Truth. Hard Truth products are available across Indiana, as well as many other states. So no matter where you shop, if they don't carry your favorite Hard Truth product, tell them you want the truth, the Hard Truth. Hard Truth Distilling Company encourages you to enjoy all of their products responsibly and to never drink and drive. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Monday, and I hope that much like they have the mid juleps and all that at the Kentucky Derby, they need to create a signature drink for the Indianapolis 500 with Hard Truth. It just occurred to me. So start putting in the thought into some names. We're creating drinks today. Creating our own. So start thinking about that. They're so different as far as I've mentioned this. The people that are at Indianapolis for the 500, they're there for a race, baby. They're there for history. They're there for to be part of the biggest sporting event in the world. I'm not saying it's not about having some drinks and some good times, but it's about the event. It's about the event. The Kentucky Derby is place to be seen, and the fancy drinks, and they're just very different. Nothing. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but Indy 500, but they're just different, very, very different. And so, and I was talking about this yesterday. Russell says the classic choice for the Indianapolis 500 is a cold glass of milk, echoing the tradition of the winter. Yeah, well, that's for the winter, man. Milk is for winners. But I know that most people know the answer to this, but only one person in the entire history of the Indianapolis 500 has not drank milk in the winner's circle. And the reasoning is apparently, I didn't know about the tradition. How the hell do you not know about that tradition? How do you know? How do you race in a series? How do you race in those cars? How do you race in that race before and not know about their tradition of the winner drinking milk? His family, I'm bringing Dustin Dopirak. He's jumping on with us now. I'm complaining about Emerson Fittipaldi. I didn't give his name yet, but he's the only guy in the history of this race that did not drink milk in the winner's circle, drank orange juice because his family owns an orange juice company or something like that, I think.
I vaguely remember this story.
I will never forget him not drinking the milk. It may not, no, I think it's probably been 20 years ago, Dustin.
20. They're all running together now, Jim.
Yeah, dude, somebody was asking me something the other day, and I'm like thinking, yeah, that was like 5 or 6 years ago. They're like, how about
2005?
Yeah, and I was like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, he's the only guy though.
Mm-hmm.
Only guy. It stinks. But on the other hand, they always take a big old drink and it's run down the mouth and they pour over the head.
It's kind of gross.
I don't know how long. It's very gross because what does milk do when it dries?
Curdles.
Oh my God. It's the worst smelling stuff, and it's down in your suit, inside your suit. I don't know how long that they're walking around in those suits that day until they actually can get out and get changed.
Yeah, I mean, they probably got, it's when they do media, right? Probably.
Yes. I mean, boy, it's sweat. I don't know if they're sweating in there, but I don't want to get gross here, but
yeah, I'm sure it's gross. There's no way it's not gross.
I wouldn't want to pour the milk over me, but you win the Indianapolis 500, you don't care.
No, you're kind of juiced. You're adrenaline at that point. Yeah, no, I can't think it's the most pleasurable experience, and I like milk, but still, yeah,
I love milk. Yeah. Now, I learned this as well. The Dairy Association, the Indiana Dairy Association, and I think that they still do this. They will send out a questionnaire to every driver asking them what kind of milk they like to drink.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like when you deal with people that are lactose intolerant, you deal with people that have allergies, that kind of thing. So they, I remember that being a thing that they had to be more mindful of that sort of thing. So, you don't want to make people drink stuff that's going to make them sick. That kind of thing.
Some buttermilk. Want some buttermilk?
It's rough.
Louis Mayer.
Especially in it's Memorial Day weekend and it's usually cooking. It's usually hot on race day. So I don't know.
There you go. In 1993 winning. Wow. I knew it. Oh my God. I knew it was a while. I didn't know it was quite that long.
I did not. I thought that was more recent than that.
Yeah, although he took a sip of milk later. Nobody cares about you taking a sip of milk later. It's the tradition, dude. But I didn't like him. Never now, and that
you're still upset about it. It's been 32 years.
Yeah, I don't hold on to a lot of grudges. That one's not going away.
That's sticking with you. Wow.
Yeah. Impressive. I'm going to hang on to the milk grudge without question.
I see.
I'd love to talk about Indy, but man,
you want to talk about lapping the field, but yes, thank you, nice segue. Patting myself on the back. We were talking with Greg Rakestraw earlier. I know that during the season, this will happen in certain games. Things just start going awry for teams. They can't hit. They may have an injury. Other team gets on fire. And that happened yesterday. And I was like, I told Greg, I'm like, man, early on, I'm thinking, boy, they're going to hit 60 points at half. I said, you got to be kidding me. Well, they kept going. And I'm like, dude, they're going to get 70 points. I said, that's mind-boggling. And then, of course, they hit the 80. And I'm like, I never, ever say an NBA game is over at the half because it doesn't matter. No. Never matters. If they're within 22, 3 points or so, it's not over. That game was over. Turn out the lights, roll up the carpet, and pack up the doors, man. It's wow. And that was just an epic beatdown. And in a playoff game, unbelievable.
Yeah, no, really impressive stuff. And obviously, and from a kind of basketball nerd standpoint, impressive to watch just how Rick Carlisle sort of picked apart and sort of found a way to just turn a weakness into a strength. And basically, when Cavs did a great job with this 3-2 zone that they busted out in game 3, basically. And so Evan Mobley comes back for game 3 after he'd missed game 2, and Mobley's DPOY, and he looked like defensive player of the year. I mean, he just seemed like he was in 5 different places, and they put him at the top of this 3-2. And again, like you obviously see a lot of 2-3 zone. You don't see a ton of 3-2 where they brought, just got 3 bodies at the top there, and Mobley's at the top of it, just like dead center. And the Pacers just could not penetrate it, couldn't get in the middle, couldn't get through him, couldn't get around him. He was in various spots. Most of the time he was at the top of it. But if it wasn't him, it was DeAndre Hunter, who was obviously got a lot of length at like 6'8" or so. And, Jared Allen was up there too. And basically, they couldn't drive. They couldn't, they couldn't, move the ball in the paint. They couldn't shoot over it. Just did not seem to have a lot of answers for it. But basically you give Rick Carlisle 2 days, and that's enough, most of the time. It's just, there are frustrations certainly that the Pacers fans have with him. They don't love the way he rotates guys. They haven't loved the fact that he's used 11 players for a lot of the series. But you give him 2 days to make an adjustment, and he's pretty remarkable. And this one was this was really incredible stuff. How they put him away. It just really noticed that, all right, if you're going to put that much length at the front of the 3-2, the guys to the back line, you must be able to get them. And, basically they just kind of found the weak point. They had Max Strus in the back line of this thing, and they're like, all right, we're going to run, Siakam and Toppin and Turner at this guy and get him sealed off and get easy buckets that way. And that's how we'll break this thing. And that's what they did. Basically they just kept throwing it in the paint, turning it into kind of a, man-to-man ISO situation. And that just sort of seemed to break the whole thing down. And just after that, the ball was just whipping. And, they just got it in the middle and moved it around and shredded it, just absolutely shredded it. And the Cavs just had no response for it. And, when it wasn't points in the paint, it was, it was wide open threes. And just remarkable stuff. 25 assists at half. That's nuts. 25 assists on 30 field goals at halftime. They had 30 field goals to 8 at half. That's wild. Wild. And so they took Cleveland apart on defense. Just everything that they did.
The number one scoring offense in the NBA this season, by the way.
Yeah, and they shut him down. Donovan Mitchell only played the first half. I guess that's a bigger deal. Obviously, if Donovan Mitchell can't play in Game 5, this thing is over because he was unbelievable in games 1 through 3. And so we only had 12. He was 3 of 11. Pacers brought a lot of force to that. Now, obviously, it's possible that Mitchell was like, yeah, I don't feel great. What's the point of playing this? But it's also
when you're down,
if he's 40 hurt in the next game. So it's trouble, in
the post-game show, Charles made a good point. They were asking questions. I heard the post-game, and they were asking about Donovan Mitchell. Don't know. He's getting an MRI tomorrow. So they'll find out. So unless there's something on that MRI, he will be playing.
You'd think, but usually you don't have if it's a thing that you're not worried about, you don't have an MRI. Those cost money.
Yeah, well,
they don't cost a lot.
No, I know that shows that it is.
Yeah,
I guess it's probably because he didn't know, the coach didn't know how he suffered the injury, and I still don't know. Do you know how he?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I've seen is that they showed there's video of like just him coming out to warm up at half. I didn't see it, man. I
saw that same thing as well. So non-contact injuries are the worst.
Yeah. So I mean,
that means something just popped or went bad without really being stressed. And
right. So I don't know. You know, I mean, like obviously he's been stressing everything all playoffs. I mean, he was dealing with a calf strain. It doesn't sound like it's a calf. No, I mean, I feel like they would have mentioned if it was a calf. And they said ankle. So again, we'll see. But yeah, it's don't even have any idea, but very interested to see, obviously. But it sounded like he just worked it out. Strange. I don't know. I mean, he looks like he's been gritting through it the entire time. Like he has not seemed 100% healthy at any point in this series, but he has willed himself to just magic. I mean, he's been absolutely incredible until last night. So
the Cavs in itself have been kind of limping through this playoff.
Sure, no, they had a bunch of injuries.
They didn't come in healthy.
Yeah, they had 3 guys get hurt. Garland has been dealing with toe sprain since the Heat series. Mobley and Hunter both got hurt in game 1. I'm sorry. And so, yeah, I mean, they obviously missed both those guys for game 2. And so, yeah, I mean, they haven't been, their whole selves are complete, but, last night they were for the first half and they got eviscerated. So, they're not going to be able to claim that card, basically, if they weren't this or they weren't that. But yeah, no, I mean, Mitchell in particular has looked like just not, like he has looked like it has been a labor, but yet, despite the fact that it has been a labor, he's been incredible.
Yeah, it's been everybody, because the Pacers are doing this. This is not Larry Bird leading the Celtics,
no,
which they also had other good players. Don't get me wrong, but they still had the head of a snake. While Tyrese Halliburton is probably considered the head of the snake, this team can be a 3-headed snake. All the time, because you never know. TJ McConnell was a fly in the ointment. His job last night was to get into the middle, create some havoc. And hell, he did that. He scored a lot by doing that. But also, you mentioned the assist. They were moving the ball so well. Everyone was moving around, looking, sharing. That was one of the great displays of team basketball.
Sure. No, that's what they do. When they're good, that's what they do. And to give it to Ty, who's not happy with the Indy start today, Tyrese has been like that. That is the like his ethos is who they are. Like that style of play is what they built themselves around, because that's what Ty brings, is the ability to, see the floor really well, to break down defenses, move the basketball, and play, it's not just team ball, but like basically that it doesn't matter who scores, that it doesn't matter who takes the shots. And he gets all kinds of criticism for not taking enough shots some nights. And, when they lose, it stands out. When they lose, when it's not moving the right way, and he's not, not aggressive enough, or doesn't find openings, or doesn't have opportunity, like it's noticeable. But some nights, like it doesn't matter what, like most people don't know probably off the top of their head what Tyrese had last night. He had 11, on, like not crazy numbers either. He was 3 of 8. 3 of 8 last night, 1 of 5 from 3, and they blew everybody's doors off. And, I mean, like it involved absolutely everybody. But, they started with saying, okay, like Siakam and Obi Toppin were really the guys that got it started. And then Miles Turner goes off and hits 3 threes in a row in the last, 2 minutes or so. And, So, like, I mean, they identified what the problem was and attacked it. Like they identified an opportunity, rather than saying, well, Tyrese had to have this. You can't win if it's not Tyrese or something like that. They were like, well, no, no, like that's not what it is. If basically if this is what we see is the weak point, is the Achilles heel that they have, then this is what we're going to attack. And what they saw was like, okay, like if you're going to put that much length at the top of the zone, there must be somebody at the back of the zone that we can attack. And, that's what they saw. And it was like, Siakam and Obi, just got going on these, just run down, post a guy up, get your back into him, and get an easy bucket that way. And that just seemed to be what started it. And just after that, it was just the Pacers, his Cavs were in constant scramble mode. So, yeah, they brought it up, somebody in there brought it up. It's called preservation for game 5. It might be like, but what if it isn't, is the thing. Like that was my initial thought. Like, okay, hey, this game's over. He's not going to play, but you don't have an MRI for preservation.
No, and as soon as I heard that, I knew that they were.
Yeah.
That's why I said a non-contact injury, because he was asked. Yeah. The coach was asked about how up. He's like,
that's not me guaranteeing that he's not going to play. But
right.
Again, like and obviously these teams have deep pockets, so it's not like. But somebody got to write a check for an MRI, like somebody got to write a check. So like, that's not, you don't have one of those if you're not concerned about something. And so it might come out not as bad as they're afraid of, but like you don't waste the time and the money having an MRI if you're not worried.
This will tell them whether or not he can play or not.
Yeah, exactly.
At least from a physical standpoint. Sure. The other way, it goes the other way. But someone mentioned that the media was asking if he quit on his team. I don't think so. You're not going to do that at that stage.
You mean Mitchell?
Yeah, he's one of their most important.
He was down by 41. He was
down
by 41, and he averaged 40 the first 3 games. Like, quit on a team is a joke. He got busted
ridiculous.
Up. And even if they sat him out the second half purely for the purpose of preservation, and said, hey, like this thing's over, be ready for game 5, that's smart.
Oh, absolutely.
That thing was over. You're not coming back from 41.5. Like, as crazy as these playoffs have been in terms of comebacks, like that thing was over. There was no way. And, and the good part about it, if you're the Cavs, is it only counts 1. If you're down by 40 at half, that doesn't mean you lose 2 games. Like they go back to game 5. I mean, like they absolutely have a chance to win that game if Mitchell's healthy and whatnot. Like, so nobody, if anyone on the Cavs thinks that Donovan Mitchell quit on them, like they're the bigger problem than Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah,
because
crazy.
They're not in this series the way they've played. They're not in this series without Donovan Mitchell being superhuman. So, like, I don't think anybody thinks that, it's like, oh, like, yes, it would be really important for Donovan Mitchell to go run out there. So, so he gets to feel what it's like to get beat by 32. Like, no, the smart move would be to rest him. But like, like, I don't know that it's a move is the point, like if that were the move, if Kenny Atkinson came out and said like, yeah, we were up by 41, down 41. We didn't see any way to get this thing back. Figured this is our best player. He's been going through it. He's carried a lot of weight in this series. Like we're not going to win another game if he's not ready and feeling good. So, we got to go back to Cleveland and keep this series going. And we need Donovan Mitchell. When saying we need to have an MRI is a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, that definitely upped it. Now on the other side of who the Pacers could possibly play, another shocker as the Knicks went up 2-0 over the Celtics. First of all, Cleveland, the number 1 seed in the East, down 3-1 right now.
Right.
And the number 2 seed Boston Celtics down 2-1, right? Is that 2-1 still?
2-1. Yeah, they came back in one game by a bunch.
I think the Celtics still win that series.
Good.
But we'll see. But man, how much fun, come on, would it be for a Knicks Pacers conference finals?
Be pretty wild. I mean, it'd be fun either way. It's 2 good teams, and so, but
you'd have OG Anunoby from the Hoosiers. You'd have Thomas Bryant from Indiana, former. That would be kind of wild.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. It's going to be fascinating to see what direction it goes. Basically in the conference finals for sure. And I think like it is that series has just been a show of just how wild this whole playoffs have been. Basically it was up until last night with Pacers winning. Eastern Conference Finals teams, nobody had won a home game through the first 6. Which was pretty wild. So 2 on one hand, 1 on the other. And so, Boston looked good last night. Boston was up 20 in games 1 and game 2 and found a way to blow those leads. And, we're just up like 30 in game 3 and managed to not do that. So there's a good chance that they still win that series, but there's also a possibility they don't. They could have the same issue that the Cavs did last night. They could easily go in there and the Knicks could pull it off. That's obviously a tough Knicks team. I like watching that Knicks team. I'm impressed. Jalen Brunson, I think, is just a fun player to watch. And just the way he can just will a team back into it. Josh Hart, Michael Bridges, just OJ Anunoby, 2 really good, just fantastic wings. OG is you've seen just the growth in him, and it's been super cool to see.
I was going to say how he has become such a complete player. He started off greatly because he was a defending machine.
Sure.
And he was super athletic and could score, but was not a scorer necessarily. Man, this dude has added 3-point shooting. He can score. He's a great all-around player.
No, he really is. No, he's come into his own, and that was a huge get for them last year. Obviously, the Pacers and Raptors, or not the Raptors, Pacers and Knicks both managed to make the most out of Toronto, blowing it up. And OG has just been a just remarkable for them. Certainly the Pacers were fortunate that in terms of moving on in last year's playoffs that OG suffered the hamstring strain, because he looked great the first 2 games. I mean, he looked terrific. And that kind of knocked up, certainly changed the Knicks' entire dynamic for the rest of that series, that they didn't have OG the rest of the way, because he could shut you down. I mean, he's got so much length, so much athleticism. It's just really one of the best, just blow it up and down the floor defenders, because he can take on anybody 1 to 4, certainly can switch on to a 5 if he has to, has the size for any defense matchup, and now he's a real offensive force. He's averaging probably 15, 16 a game, something like that over the course of the year. Again, can really shoot it, can certainly get to the rim and finish, can handle it now. The skill set is there offensively, on top of what was always there is just a total game wrecker as a defensive player.
Yeah, just fun stuff to watch. And as these playoffs continue to go forward, man, I don't think, and I don't think the Pacers have enough to win an NBA championship from what I've seen from Oklahoma City, but you never can say never, because yesterday was an anomaly, most likely, but it showed what they can do. It showed their ceiling. They are, while Cleveland is the best offensive team this season, most highest scoring, Indiana is right up there. The defense, it's whether they're playing defense, whether they're sharing the ball. On those nights, they could beat anybody. Yeah. And that includes Oklahoma City.
Right. No, they share the ball every night. It's a question of when they share the ball, where the shots go in. No, I think, and to the broader point, there is so much parity in this league right now that you might not look at this Pacers team and say it looks like championship teams you've seen in the past, but that doesn't mean it can't win this year. And I think that's a big key, is that the way that the CBA, the way that the salary cap structure, all of that, just changes teams and basically creates parity, means that nobody's that good, and so everybody's beatable. To me, the Thunder look like the best team, and I picked the Thunder to win it. But the Thunder are 2-2, are 2-2 deadlocked with Denver, and they don't look like a team that's going to run through everybody. They did in game 2. Game 2, they look like the Death Star. But after that, basically they go back out and lose game 3. Game 4 was one of the most miserable shooting games in NBA playoffs history. Just neither one of them could make a shot, and they managed to grind Denver down and hold them out in that game. But I think they were something like, the two teams were like 2 of 24. I don't know. It was truly miserable shooting numbers for parts of that game. And so that tells you, they're not like they're not inevitable. The Pacers aren't either. I mean, obviously, you know, like just you don't have to look back very far and see bad performances from them. You just don't know what's going to string together. I mean, like you know, David Aldridge of The Athletic was in the building last night. Just one incredible veteran. He's been one of those guys that's been super cool to get to meet through, you know, having this job. And, you know, Aldridge was asking both Rick Carlisle and Kenny Atkinson, like, why is it that we're seeing these dramatic swings from game to game in every playoff series? Basically, it just doesn't seem like what happens in one game has anything to do with what happens the next one. And they can just look so dramatically different, and the scores are so wildly variant. Why is that? And both Rick and Kenny were kind of like throwing darts at the wall to kind of guess something. And they're like, you know, we don't really know. Like, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. You know, it's parity, it's young players, it's refs being different every night. And it's like, you gotta, you know, like, and you make adjustments, and maybe you, you know, you start you're like, it gives coaches more of an opportunity to kind of take your best player out, you know, like kind of say, all right, well, why is that guy beating us? What are some things we can do, and throw this junk defense at him or double team him or whatever. But both of them were like, I really don't know. But I mean, if there's a key point, it's just that there's a ton of parity in the league, and it's really tough to build a championship level team. So it's like, okay, like how, you know, Boston's the defending champs. They look vulnerable. You know, Oklahoma City, again, looks like they've had the best roster. Their net rating was by far the best all year. They won 68 games. Have the Pacers been as good as those teams all year? No. Can they win 4 out of 7? I mean, they can. You know, like, I'm not saying that they will, but they can. And anybody who's left on the board can too. You know, like the Knicks can, the Celtics can, the Nuggets can, the T-Wolves can, you know, the Thunder can, you know, the Warriors can if they get Steph back, if and when they get Steph back. But like, it's just any one of those teams can string enough together to win it, because, you know, again, nobody's that good. I mean, it's for as much as you had 3 teams that won 60 games, they don't have that look of inevitability that you've seen in the past. And the reason is why is because it's harder to build and keep a team together, because you know, it's not easy with the cap. You know, it's not easy with the aprons. And so, you know, like, and guys age, you know, and even Boston looks significantly older among a couple of their guys. You know, with, you know, Drew Holiday has missed a lot of time. I love Drew Holiday as a player, but he hasn't been the same guy this year because he's dealt with injuries most of the year. You know, and that kind of weakens you. And so, you know, like Oklahoma City looks young and rested and everything, but they're young. You know, they're super young.
They are the youngest team in the NBA, right?
And they've got to be up there. You know,
I think that I'm pretty sure I've heard that they are the youngest team in the NBA, which bucks the trend.
Sure.
Because you don't want to be too young, but you need experience normally.
Right. Generally, you need to go to the playoffs and lose. You know, generally you need to get there, get beat, figure out what it takes to get to the next level, and then figure it out. And usually it takes a couple of runs. You know, it takes 1 or 2 of getting it handed to you somewhere and finding out you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this, and you go in and getting it. Either through, you know, making your guys that you already have better, or going to get more guys.
Adversity, you know, baby. You've got to deal with adversity.
You do. And that's, you know, as team, as players, and as an organization, you know, like, basically, I mean, I think even the Pacers thought it last year when they went into the playoffs. They said, all right, like, what do we, you know, we're going to go in there and kind of figure out what we need. And they didn't make a lot of changes. You know, I guess they ultimately didn't see a lot of stuff that they didn't feel like they already had, or maybe they just didn't see it on the market to go get it. You know, with their options. But, you know, they are better ready for this now. And they have just been much better suited for each test that they've been through. And so, you know, that's how you do it. I mean, basically, very rarely, very, very rarely do you see a team go from not being in the playoffs one year to winning it the next. You know, they have to experience a thing and figure out what it takes after that. And, you know, the Thunder, I mean, obviously they made it to the semis last year, but they're not, you know, this is a different ballgame. And, you know, they're with the expectation that you're supposed to win the whole thing. So they've been to this level. So they've got to get to a next rung after this and the next rung after that. And so the Pacers got one step further than the Thunder did, and that makes a difference. And so if they get Boston again, you know, they're going to be better suited from that. So, again, we'll see. I mean, like, and Boston is a team that when it comes down to it, when they make shots, they can crush you. And then when they don't, they are very, very beatable. So, a lot of things are on the table there.
40 of the Cavs' points last night came from the free throw line. I heard that early on that if it wasn't for free throws, they would be further out of the game than they were, which was mind-boggling. But that shows to me that the Pacers are playing with a little bit more physicality. I heard that after the game that they were keeping them from hitting their spots defensively, which that's a great thing to hear if you're a Pacers fan, because defense is not the first thing you think of with the Pacers. Not that they're bad defensively, obviously, but that they made an adjustment that really that caused this. And so Cleveland's going to respond, but man, the upper hand looks, not just in the series, but in strategy right now, looks to be with the Pacers.
Sure, no, absolutely. I mean, you go up 3, they're up 3-1. I mean, and I think just defensive was just dialing it up and saying, like, we're just not playing with enough force. We're not playing with enough pushback. And when you hit shots and you get to defend, like you get opportunity to set your defense. Like you're not, the turnover battle was dramatically different. I mean, the Pacers have not turned it over much all year. And they were having problems keeping the ball in games 1 through 3, and that turns into opportunities for transition, and you're getting downhill. And even if it's not fast break points, technically, you're giving up a lot. And Cleveland got a lot of that. I mean, just Donovan Mitchell in a lot of cases got downhill with a head of steam in games 1 through 3, and it didn't have a lot of opportunity to do that last night. Still drew some fouls, got a lot of buckets, got some points that way. But they just did a good job defending, and just did a good job of just making it hard for everybody. And Evan Mobley didn't have an easy time. Darius Garland didn't have an easy time. Jared Allen didn't have an easy time. It was just they made it impressive across the board. And so I think I'm trying to think what else to add to that. But you just saw really good defense across the board. And again, they only had to play a half a defense basically. And when they held them to 39. It was 8 of 32. I think it was 4 of 17, 4 of 15. I can't remember which one was which. But they just never got started. And by the time they started scoring points, it was over.
Darius Garland, the only Cav player to hit the 20-point mark, while the Pacers have 3 guys in the 20s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They do get 6 into double figures, but Lord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pacers get 7 into double figures. So just spreading the wealth, man. But hey, roll it on. It's speed weeks now. Maybe we got Pacers and Racers. So it's a good combination. Looking forward to this series. When is game 5? 5.
Game 5 is tomorrow. Off to Cleveland.
Nobody wants to see them win it in Cleveland, but
they do.
You want to you want to win it when you win it.
They do. Yeah.
And with this series, it's not as big a deal. It's a
semi, so you don't get a trophy for this. Yeah.
It's a step. You're not cutting that down. So just win it, get it, go home, rest, and Rick Carlisle will start strategizing.
Yeah.
For both of his.
No, you want to take care of it now. If you're them, you don't want to give them more life. Certainly, you feel good about the situation if you're, you get 3 chances to put this thing away, and you have your one home game sitting in your, basically in the hole there as your ace. But you don't want to give Cleveland, life. You don't want them to think that they can take this back. And, whatever it would take for that to happen, if you're Cleveland, again, like this entire, like if Donovan Mitchell's out, there's just no way. They don't have the juice. If Donovan Mitchell can't play. But if he can, and if he plays like he did in games 1 through 3, and if he does what he would, Donovan Mitchell has to be Donovan Mitchell again for them to win. And if he goes out and he's himself and he goes out and gets 40, and Cleveland wins that game, they're going to feel like they've got a chance. And so we'll see.
Dustin Dopirak, Pacers beat writer with the Indy Star with us. We'll come back for another segment. We'll change up some topics and continue talking about some hoops. Stick with us. We've got more coming up from the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios. Back with it right after these messages.
The ISC Sports Network is your home for sports content across the Hoosier State. Find us live on TV and streaming or archived on our website and our app. The ISC is your one-stop shop for the content you want to see, including high school sports, college sports, and other great events throughout the year. Subscribe to our streaming service and get access to it all. ISC, local lives here.
Know a team or group needing a fundraiser? Boost Fundraising raises more money faster and offers the most unique and user-friendly online fundraiser in the nation. Your team receives personalized fundraising pages for each team member. Free team-branded promo gifts shipped to each donor. Boost Fundraising does it all. Sports teams, marching bands, charity causes, and community groups. Go to boostfundraising.com and be sure to enter the promo code COYLE, that's COYLE, to receive a discounted fundraiser. If you're looking for a new home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore from Brick and Ivy Realty. Cheryl Sizemore has over 2 decades of experience, and that could be the difference in getting the home you want in today's tough housing market. Reach out to Cheryl at CherylSizemore@gmail.com or 317-701-0838. That's 317-701-0838. Let Cheryl Sizemore sell or find your new home today. When it comes to apparel and promotions, Freethink has you covered, literally, whether it's 24 or 200 shirts for sports leagues, businesses, or groups. Freethink Apparel and Promotions can also create your very own merchandising store. Freethink Apparel and Promotions did it for Indiana Sports Beat Radio, and they can do it for you. Whether it's screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, promotional products, vehicle wraps, or anything else under the promotional line. See what Freethink Apparel and Promotions can do for you at freethinkapparel.com. Welcome back to the Hard Truth Distilling Company studios on this Monday. And this is not the beginning, but man, it is kind of the gun. I heard the gun go off. It really kicks in these last 2 weeks of May, because Indianapolis, while it's the month of May, it really gets started tomorrow. Practice, the gates open, practices all week, qualifications, carb day, pole position winners, fast 12, fast 6, so many things that people can go out and experience, especially if you're not going to go to the race. Man, I would take in all of this stuff, because the access, as far as how close you can get, you're not dealing with 300,000 other people. It's incredibly fun. Right behind the pagoda area, they've got that massive screen scoreboard where people just hang out. I love hanging out back there because it's treed. There's a lot of shade. You've got the vendors right there. I mean, that's just a cool area in of itself. But there are so many cool things that are going on in Indy, in addition to the Pacers now with the Indy 500.
Right. Yeah, I will see none of it. But it is, like, I've been to a couple of races that aren't the 500. I've been to some stuff usually in August, basically when they have the around the Brickyard. They usually have some cool stuff. And I think it was a couple of years ago where they, like, kind of on a Saturday prior to the Brickyard, they had kind of a NASCAR race and an Indy race on the same day. And it's a super cool venue to watch anything. And, obviously it's different than any other venue you go to, because number one, you could bring in your own stuff and they don't stop you for anything, whether it's alcohol, food, or whatever. You don't have to buy anything there. You bring in your own cooler and they're cool with all of it. And, that's nice because you can get in and out for pretty cheap. But it's just, to your point, like it's a big enough venue to have trees in it. Like it's so giant. Basically
4 holes of a golf
course that run around the whole area, but like it's part of a grander whole. But yeah, it's, you're walking in this venue and you have race cars driving around you and you're on a golf hole, and it's just like, it is insane. You saw these pictures last year of, not pictures, it's like kind of graphics of like all of the other stadiums and stuff that you can fit in. to IMS. It's crazy. It's utterly nuts. All that you can do there. And so,
I mean, is Churchill, I'm sure it's not quite half.
No,
but
close. No.
I'm just saying, it's probably not quite half, but is that it's about half the size of Indy? Because I think that track is maybe a mile. The Churchill Downs track is maybe a mile-ish around or something. I think. Maybe it's less. Maybe it might be less than a mile because the Derby is a mile and a quarter, and they start. They probably start a quarter of a mile from the start line, so it's probably a mile track. This is 1.5 times that. And so it's you could fit the Churchill Downs. I'm trying to think. You could fit both Indiana and Purdue's football stadiums.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking you could put Gainbridge in there.
Oh yeah.
All of this combined, even
you could put like 10 Gainbridges in there. I mean, like I said, there was one who showed like the Rose Bowl, the Yankee Stadium, like the Coliseum, the Roman Coliseum.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
dude, that would be a great portrait or something.
It is. You can go find it. You can go find it online. Like somebody did like
wow.
It's so like you could check that out. It's just like, imagine this would be here, this would be there, that would be there. If you put that all there, it's like you put in like 20 things, that are like 20 famous venues, buildings, whatever, in it. And it's incredible. And you're talking like it's 16th to 38th, basically, as far as streets. I mean, it's like its own city, and it's incredible. And so, it makes for this super cool, super cool experience. Cause I mean, you can walk all the way through this, you can sit wherever you want. There's hills, there's grass, there's the stands, like your viewing ability is wherever you want it to be. And like on a day when it's not 500 race day and you're dealing with fewer humans, it's a whole bunch of super cool places you can go chill out, and you just have all this space to move around, a whole lot of opportunity. And if you just, if actually watching the race isn't important to you, man, you could just sort of chill on a lawn someplace and nobody, you can do whatever you want. And you're just sort of in the midst of this thing.
And you can bring your own coolers.
Goes a long way. Yeah.
You want to talk about a major difference between that and Churchill Downs? But you get everything but a cavity search at Churchill Downs.
Yeah.
They're looking for stuff. They're going to get every nickel.
Man.
They want you to spend every nickel of those $18 beers or whatever it's going on there. Yeah, it's one of the funniest things I ever did once. It's been quite a while, and went to the Salem Motor Speedway. This is way back in the day. Took a cooler in and just kind of in the infield, just kind of picked a position where I could see turns 4, 1, and 2.
Yeah.
And I would just have to turn back to look for turn 3. But I mean, it's just a fun day. But it's incredible. So Mike Woodson made a statement finally after being I started to say let go, but resigning from his post at Indiana. Months later, it's weird that it took this long, but coming home to lead Indiana men's basketball was an honor. It was a great opportunity to represent the program that helped shape my college career, and I'm deeply grateful for the full circle journey back. He thanked everyone, the fans, support, ups and downs, the players, dedicated staff, team managers, IU professors, gathered our young men, medical staff. And, just was a thankful thing. It's odd. I mean, this came after he reportedly gets an assistant's job in the NBA. Why did he wait till that to do that? Was he afraid that he wasn't going to get a job and he would have been embarrassed to send it?
I imagine he probably had other stuff he wanted to say, and this was the thing that said, you can just not. Yeah. You can just not. And no, I mean
that magic voice in the head.
Yeah, exactly. When the paychecks start coming back, you're like, and I mean, I would say like if you've ever lost your job, It does take a while to feel like I can just shut my mouth about this. You
let him go back to being the legendary player that he was known for, which he should be known for.
Right. No, exactly. I'm sure, obviously he officially, he officially resigned, retired, whatever word you want to use. Certainly it seems pretty clear that there was at least, pressure in some way, whether it was
couple of hands in the back.
Yeah. And so it's like, I'm sure that he had stuff he wants to say. I'm sure there's stuff in his mind of how he, feels about it. And, I imagine he's sitting there thinking, man, I want to say this about this guy, and I want to say this about that guy, and I want to say this about the fans, and I want to say this about that. And then when you get a new job, you say to yourself, I don't have to do any of that. Like, I can just do my new job. And so certainly I imagine that's what went through his mind, and said, I said I was going to say something, so I still will. And this way it'll be gracious and thankful, and I don't have to get into any of that because I've got a new gig, and, I can just let it go. And so, that's discretion being the better part of valor and whatnot. And so smart on his part, because, hey, he gets to go back and do this job again in a different capacity. He's in a different place. Sacramento certainly has its own challenges. I'm sure he knows that. And so, that, he will find out how that goes. But he goes back to being an assistant, which he's been certainly really successful in throughout his career. Been a guy that a lot of people have been happy to have. Kind of feel like his skill set fits that in particular. I think he's been, I think if you've got to give him credit for some things that he did, and I think one of them was turn some guys that were kind of on the edge into pro caliber prospects, for whatever, you can question, I think, his overall roster building, his overall recruiting, stuff like that. But, he turned Trace Jackson Davis into a better pro, turned Kel'el Ware into a better pro, and, turned Jalen Hood-Schifino into somebody that was worth drafting. And so I'm still interested to see what Jalen Hood-Schifino can become, because he hasn't, because of injury, hasn't had the opportunity to really get much of a fair look. And, he's going to bop around now. And obviously he ended up with 76ers. We'll see if he stays there. He had some good games. I mean, I was impressed to watch him. Basically the Sixers were just eviscerated by the end of the year, and they were digging up everybody to go play on that roster. And I thought he looked like himself. Basically the Pacers played him and he looked all right. So he gets to claim those. And I think a lot of guys who have played for him as an assistant would say, hey, this guy helped me fundamentally get better. You might be able to do the same thing for Sacramento. I mean, you might find himself working with Domas Sabonis, and maybe Domas takes another step, and he's been a really good player. We'll see, basically how that goes, what kind of a positive effect he might be able to have for him. There's some other young guys in that team that he could probably help. So we'll see how that goes. And certainly there've been, it's kind of a wreck over there. They got rid of Mike Brown, which I don't think was the smartest decision on Sacramento's part. But Doug Christie could use some help. And, Mike Woods can serve a purpose there and bring the skill set he does have and make the Kings as good as they can. It's again, it's a weird place. It's a weird situation. But, they've been a fringy playoff-y team lately, and maybe you can keep them there.
Absolutely. College football, it's not as far away as you think, man. Big Ten football media days happens in July, which July is not as far away as you think it is, as we're midway through the month of May already. The players for basketball and all that will report here in June, but Indiana football will not have to worry about their schedule next year. They will not have to worry about hearing any of that. I'm looking at Ari Wasserman from On3, his top 25, post-spring top 25. In the number one spot, he has your old friends at Penn State in College Station. As they have their quarterback back, they have, that solid defense, but he's got the Nittany Lions at number one. Not only that, Indiana doesn't play Ohio State. They're number 4, but Oregon number 9, number 10, Illinois.
Jeez.
Those 3 teams alone, Indiana opens Big Ten play with Illinois. They go to Oregon, they go to Penn State, and they go to Iowa, who's not even on here. Indiana not in this particular top 25, although I think that they're a top 25 team. It shows you still, though, people are not bought in to the brand of Indiana football yet, because I think that they're actually going to be a better team this year. Their schedule is much more severe, but Fernando Mendoza is pretty damn good quarterback. I think the offense is going to be better. They've upgraded the offensive line. They're solid in every position. So it's, can they stay deep enough in the O-line? But we're going to see some intriguing matchups for Indiana this year. Number 1, Penn State, like I said, Oregon, Illinois, Iowa. Man, those 4 games alone right there.
Yeah.
That's a third of your season, but those are all major games.
Yeah. No, that's pretty remarkable stuff. I think I don't have pity, but like, I don't envy anyone who has to put together preseason top 25s in college football now. Like, how do you even know?
That's why I don't pay a lot of attention to them. It gives you kind of a gauge. It gives me a gauge on, okay, I didn't know Penn State was expected to be that good. Is it just because they've got Drew Lar coming back? They lost their defensive coordinator for the 2nd year in a row.
They're paying a new guy $1 million, though.
Yeah. I mean,
they're
not they haven't missed a beat on defense. It's almost impossible to imagine having 3 different coordinators in 3 successive years, and they're probably going to be I don't know where they ended up last year, but I know they were like either number 1 or top 5 the year before. I think the second. I think they were the second. I don't know where they ended up last year, but probably top 10 without question.
Right.
Probably not going to be outside of that this year. So having 3 different coordinators and staying in the top 10, that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, because you got dudes. They got serious dudes.
They got dudes.
They got dudes. Yeah, and that goes a long way. I
like dudes so much better than Jimmy's and Joe's.
Yes, exactly. Because Jimmy's and Joe's are just okay. Dudes are dudes.
Yeah.
Dudes.
You got a dude.
Yeah, they got the Penn State's got dudes, and they just put a edge rusher in top 3 in draft. So, and they've been producing those type of guys, Mike Parsons. Like they have had great individual players, and that goes a long way. And so, they're going to have, they're going to turn out some players, and so
a lot of pressure on James Franklin.
Sure.
He's Penn State fans. They want that next level, man.
Mm-hmm. No, they do, and he did buy himself some time by getting to the semis, by winning some playoff games. The playoff games help somebody like James Franklin. Basically, that you can't put the label on. He can't win the big one anymore. Because now you get games that are more winnable. Where it goes from, okay, it's like your big games are just Ohio State and Michigan every year. And, if you can't win those games, then you don't get in the playoff in the first place. Now you can slide into a 12-team playoff and you can go beat SMU and Boise State. And, again, those were legit teams. Like it's brand name, whatever, but Boise State obviously had a top 10, running back, or not 10 running back, had the best running back in college football and a top 10 pick. So, when Ashton G&T goes and busted up in the NFL, you're like, well, that's different, like playing that Boise State team was different. So yeah, I think that gives him some space, but yeah, like if he's going to have a number 1 team, that team is going to have to produce, it's going to have to get there or get close. It's going to have to probably get to the title game. And if it loses there, then maybe he's okay. But, there's going to be, there has been amongst my fellow alums, I know from speaking to them and, like maintaining friendships with my guys that they are not always happy with James Franklin. So, but, he definitely kind of earned himself some some grace, with this year. But, I think there's certainly, if this team is as good as it looks like it's going to be, then there's going to be that expectation. And so we'll see how it goes. Now, obviously, I think it's, playoffs give a guy new life too, because, Ryan Day, after they lost to Michigan, everybody in Columbus was ready to run Ryan Day right out of there. And, you get in the playoff,
the end of the season.
Yeah.
When they lost to Michigan.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was a bad loss. And, right after that, I mean, you saw people online being like, man, Ryan Day's got to go. Like, how could this team is this loaded? How can they possibly lose to Michigan? And, and it's still shocking if you think about it. How did that team lose to Michigan? Considering what happened after that, they were incredible. And you watch them win that thing and you're like, how did anyone ever beat this team? So, but when you still got him to win it. So Ryan Day, who seemed like he might be out of a job, heading into the Big Ten, and it didn't make it to the Big Ten championship game. And heading into there, looks like he was in trouble. And so, something that happens similar to James Franklin. Penn State might lose a game it's not supposed to lose in the regular season, but in the playoff, you get new life. And so, it changes the way this stuff works. It changes the way a season goes. The stuff that you used to bury somebody for, some random regular season loss, could get you fired. And now you get another chip in a chair.
Perfect chip in a chair. It's like a pancake in a smoke. Pancake in a smoke. Dustin Dopirak, Indy Star. Are you following him? Are you keeping up with his content from his Pacers coverage? If you're not, shame, shame, shame. You need to be. Appreciate you, my friend, as always. Look forward to doing it again soon with more victories for the Pacers.
Yep. All right. Thanks for having me as always, Jim.
Thank you. Dustin Dopirak from the Indy Star joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. That's going to wrap it up for the day. Fun time. Looking forward to coming back tomorrow to do it again. We'll talk about a lot of offers Indiana basketball has put out for the future. I don't think that you're going to see a center added to this team. We'll talk about that, how they're going to attack this season as is. Just heard me talking about Indiana football schedule. We'll talk some football as well with much more. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. Go out, have yourselves a great day. Until then, I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.